Are you frustrated that your construction projects are taking too long to complete? Are you concerned that your subcontractor prices continue to go up? Meanwhile, you're not happy with their production and their ability to hit schedules. Are you constantly disappointed at your own crew's productivity and tired of them running over their labor budgets and running over schedules? Well, this episode will give you a simple concept you can use to boost productivity and profitability. Whether you subcontract all of your labor or you self-perform all of your labor with your own crews, this is going to help you. You're listening to the Construction Leading Edge podcast, where it's all about systematizing your construction business to eliminate chaos, maximize profit, freedom, and impact. My name is Todd Dawalt, and my team and I have helped over 400 construction companies eliminate chaos, grow their profits, and grow their team. In this episode, you'll learn about the first hour principle, where I learned about it, and you'll walk away with 2 strategies you can use to boost productivity and profitability, whether you're a GC or you self-perform your labor. This is going to be incredibly useful. Be sure to stick around until the end to learn about those 2 strategies and learn about a special markup that some general contractors are getting hit with. It's not quite like a tariff, but it's close. This month at constructionleadingedge.com, our website, it is Profit Appreciation Month. So let's jump into it. I was in Louisville, Kentucky several years ago on the way to a job site meeting, and I parked next to a gas station. And I noticed something very particular, very peculiar going on there. It was about 8:30 in the morning, and I needed to stop and make a call before I went to the job site. And I was parked next to this gas station, and I noticed there were 4 or 5 white vans in this gas station, some getting gas, some parked up front, and they all had the same lettering. They were all from the same plumbing company. So I had a call to make. It took about 10 or 15 minutes, and I finished up my call and looked around, and I noticed that all of those plumbing vans were still sitting there in the same place. Some were still sitting at the gas pump. 15 minutes later, some were still parked around the edge, and they were not working at this gas station, okay? I had gone inside. There was no work going on. I had actually seen some of these guys waiting in line, buying lottery tickets and donuts and cigarettes and Red Bulls, etc. And by this time, it was almost 9 o'clock. And they hadn't made it to the first job site yet. The owner must not have realized how much money that they were leaving on the table because of this. Maybe they didn't know what was going on. It's an example of the first hour problem. That's a huge problem for construction companies, whether you subcontract or you self-perform labor with your own crews. We're going to dig into that first hour problem and explain that more fully in just a minute. But let's talk about construction productivity. A few statistics here that are so bad it's hard to believe, but if you look around your job sites, you'll probably see this. Most studies show that a significant majority of projects experience delays. One study said that 70 to 90% of projects did not finish on time. Another study said only 9% of projects finish on time and on budget. Why is that? Well, another study explains that. Only 40% of a construction worker's time, on average, is spent on actual productive work. I'll say that again. Studies have shown that of an average construction worker's typical day, only 40% of that time is actually spent on productive work. So the average construction worker is spending 60% of their time on non-value adding activities, things like waiting, looking for materials, rework, things like that. So only 40% of their time is spent on productive work. Another alarming statistic, despite all of the technology, the proliferation of technology that we have, the construction industry's productivity has only increased 1% annually over the past 20 years. Another study said that the output of the typical construction worker is less than it was 20 or 30 years ago. We have a productivity crisis, all right? We have a productivity crisis in construction. Let's break it down. That's the global view. Let's look at your company. Labor makes up approximately, say, 30% of the cost of a construction project. Whether you self-perform that labor, you subcontract it, when you put it all together, on average, labor makes up 30 to 40%. Let's say 30% of the cost of a construction project. So think about your annual revenue. 30% of that is for labor. Again, whether you're a general contractor or you are a trade contractor, 30% of your annual revenue goes toward labor. So let's say, if we go back to that study that said only 40% of their time is spent on actual productive work, that means 60% of the time is wasted. But just to be conservative, let's say that 20% of your labor cost is wasted. So to make the math simple, 30% of your annual revenue is labor. Let's say 20% of that gets wasted. So that's 6% of your annual revenue. So whatever your annual revenue is, multiply that times 0.06. What is 6% of that? That's how much money is being wasted. Conservatively, it could be 3 times that much. So for a company doing $5 million in revenue, that's $1.5 million going toward labor. And if 20% of that is wasted, that's $300,000 a year in wasted labor at the 20% number. Could be 40 to 60%. So it could be up to $900,000 of wasted labor. That could be extreme. But conservatively, let's say $5 million revenue company is wasting $300,000 a year on wasted labor. Subcontract, self-performed labor, whatever it is combined, could be conservatively $300,000 a year is being wasted. So what does this mean? This means that you probably fall into one of 2 categories. If you self-perform labor, this means there is tremendous financial upside available by simply boosting your productivity, by eliminating the waste. Right now, it's early. I'm recording this in March 2025, and there's a lot of talk about Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. Well, I think we need a Department of Construction Efficiency. There's a lot of waste, not necessarily fraud, but there's a lot of waste here. There's a lot of upside available. So if you self-perform labor, there is tremendous financial upside available to you by increasing efficiency, increasing productivity. We'll get back to the episode in just a minute. Think about these 2 questions. First, do you have a clear, actionable plan? In other words, a strategy for your business for the next 12 months. Second, does your team know exactly where you're headed and how you plan to get there? If your business was a road trip, are you just driving aimlessly without a map, hoping you'll get there, or do you have a clear destination and a route? If your business was a football team, are you just running around the field without a game plan, playing pickup ball, or do you have a strategy to win the game, like the pros do? Here's the reality. As the leader, it's your job to create the strategy, and your team is counting on you for that. If you'd like some help with that, for a limited time, you can download our free strategic planning guide. It's the same guide that has helped hundreds of construction business owners gain clarity, set clear goals, and be able to communicate a winning strategy to their teams. In just 60 to 90 minutes, you'll map out your plan for the next year. No more guessing, no more drifting. And it's the first step toward designing the business that you want. In fact, it's the first step in our Systematize Your Construction Business program. If you want to get your hands on that, head over to constructionleadingedge.com/planning, PLANNING, to download your free strategic planning guide. Stop running around in circles. Stop just treading water. Get clarity on the vision and direction of your company. Go to constructionleadingedge.com/planning and download your free strategic planning guide today. If you subcontract most of your labor, if you are a general contractor, there's tremendous financial upside to you to set up your projects in a way that your subs can be most productive. They're going to give you better pricing, and they're going to send their A teams to your job sites, and you can avoid this special markup that I'll talk about before we're done. So regardless of whether you're a general contractor or you self-perform, there's tremendous upside available to you to increase productivity. I would even go as far as to say you have a responsibility to increase productivity and eliminate this waste. So what's the problem? The problem is the first hour, okay? In 2 words, what's the problem? First hour. I heard one of our CEO Alliance members on the podcast, Michael Thorpe, said this once in the interview, and it just really resonated with me. He said, the first hour is the most expensive for every trade. This was on episode 374. He said, The first hour is the most expensive for every trade. I've been managing construction projects and teams since 1997. I've been at this a while, and I'd never heard anybody say that. I thought, wow, the first hour is the most expensive for every trade. So it made me think, what are some of these first hour activities that are so expensive, and what if we could eliminate these first hour activities? Is our productivity problem a result of too many first hour activities? So here's a list of the first hour activities. Maybe you can add some to this. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment if there's other first hour activities. So here are some very expensive first hour activities that kill productivity and profitability. Some of them are unavoidable. You may be able to minimize them. Some of them can be avoided and eliminated. So the first hour at the shop in the morning, gathering tools, materials, drinking coffee, shooting the breeze. The first hour in the morning saying, hey, what are we going to do today? What's the plan? If you have people on the job site standing around asking, what are we doing today? That's a very expensive hour. There's nothing actually getting done. There's no productivity is zero during the first hour at the shop, the first hour at the job site, asking what's the plan. The first hour unloading and setting up at a job site for the first time. The first hour trying to find the superintendent or project manager at the job site. The first hour changing the plan, looking for something to stay busy because the work area wasn't ready. If a trade subcontractor shows up, metal stud framer shows up, and concrete's not poured, they can't shoot their track down. They can't get things done. If the insulator shows up and the in-wall rough end's not complete, they can't complete their work. Maybe they can do some of it, but they have to come back and drop back and do things. If the drywall contractor shows up and the rough end's not complete and the insulation's not complete, then they have to go find something else to do. So the first hour, changing the plan, looking for something to stay busy because the work area isn't ready. The first hour, making an extra trip back to the job site to finish something that didn't get complete is very expensive. The first hour, remobilizing and setting up the work area again. The first hour, doing layout work again because of revisions or design changes. Very expensive. The first hour that trades or crews are waiting for instructions, waiting for decisions, waiting for material, or looking for missing information. Very expensive. The first hour driving to the supply house or the shop to pick up materials, tools, or equipment during the day. That is an absolute productivity killer. And the first hour doing rework, fixing damage because of quality issues, fixing mistakes. The first hour doing rework. The next one is the first hour of free work. Actually, every hour of free work is very expensive. This is work you're doing that you don't get paid for whatever reason, because it doesn't get processed as a change order, or you don't actually remember to invoice for it, or you have to throw it in at the end to make the client happy. So those are a few examples of the first hour. So when you think about this, you put these together in a typical day, how many first hour activities are your crews or your subcontractors dealing with? This is what's killing their productivity. The first hour, because as Michael Thorpe so aptly put it, the first hour is the most expensive for every trade. So let's think about this. Let's talk about the ripple effect. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, being slowly pecked to death by a chicken. All of these little things. It's rarely one big thing. And frankly, these first hour expenses don't show up. Nobody has a cost code for them. They're not being tracked, but they're bleeding profit away. So there's a financial cost, right? But there's also a ripple effect. Think about it. When one trade gets delayed, when they're not 100% complete with something, then it affects every other trade that comes along behind them. It's sort of like a train, right? When the train cars are hooked together, if one car gets derailed, then it tends to derail a lot of other cars that are connected to them. And it's the same way with your trades. The other very common ripple effect is everybody is just frustrated. There are questions like, why is this taking so long? Questions from the clients, questions from the office. You guys aren't done yet? Questions like, what do you mean we have to go back to that job again? Your bean counters, your bookkeepers, controllers are saying, hey, our budget for general conditions and labor is spent, and we still have a long way to go. How are we going to build? Where are we going to put these costs? Jobs take longer than expected. It results in schedule delays or maybe paying overtime to catch up. The first hour is a productivity and a profitability killer. So the key to boosting profitability is look for these first hour activities and ruthlessly eliminate the first hour activities you can, and then minimize those that you can't eliminate. So let's think about this. Think about what it might look like. And then in a few minutes, I'll share with you 2 specific proven strategies you can use to eliminate these or reduce these first hour activities. So think about this. Whether you're a general contractor or you have your own crews, imagine crews show up to a job site and it's ready for them. The job is 100% ready. There's a job site readiness checklist and it's ready to go. They can get straight to work on what they need to get to work on. They can finish everything in one mobilization and it just runs smoothly. Imagine there's no wasted time, no unnecessary trips. Your crews are staying on the job site, not running back and forth to supply houses and rental houses in the shop to get things they forgot. No bouncing around the job site, trying to stay busy wherever they can. When you eliminate these first hour activities and things are done more efficiently, projects are going to finish up faster and under your labor budgets and with fewer headaches. So here's a question to think about. If you could eliminate these first hour activities and your job sites were smooth and streamlined and crews could show up and they can hit the ground running and then finish their work, move on to the next phase on time, how much more revenue do you think you could generate every month? If your business was running more smoothly and you could eliminate schedule delays and you could start projects on schedule and finish them on schedule, how much more revenue could you generate every month? Because if you have work in backlog and you're finishing projects faster, that means you could get to those next projects and start converting that backlog into profit. So how much more revenue do you think you could generate every month if things were running more smoothly? So for trade contractors, this means a direct increase to your bottom line because labor is one of your biggest risks and one of your biggest cost codes. And if you can reduce your labor costs and get to the next project, it's going to improve your bottom line dramatically. Now, for general contractors, you may be wondering, that sounds great, but how is this going to affect me? Well, I was a GC for quite a while. I ran commercial projects. And I remember there was an electrician named Chris. And he came to me one day. We had worked on a couple of projects. We're building a hospital addition. And Chris was one of the best electricians I'd ever worked with. And he came to me and he said, Todd, I got to tell you, I was on this other project for the same company that I worked for. And he was just sort of shaking his head like, yeah, it wasn't ready. And he told me that he really appreciated how organized my project was because when his crew showed up, they had what they needed, they could do their work, they could finish it, and they had the confidence that they could come in and knock things out. So when you're a general contractor, what's going to happen when you set your projects up for success and you help your subcontractors eliminate these first hour activities? They're going to send their best crews because they know the jobs will be run efficiently. They'll actually show up when they say they're going to because they'll be confident that the job site's actually going to be ready. Instead of like sending one or two guys to do reconnaissance and make sure everything's actually ready, they'll show up fully mobilized with a full crew ready to hit it. Your trades will also give you better pricing because they're not factoring in these inefficiencies or what I would call the PITA multiplier, PITA, which stands for pain in the ass. This is that special markup that I mentioned at the beginning that some general contractors get hit with. Your trades realize if you're a pain in the ass, if your jobs aren't ready to go, and they know you can't manage your projects well, they're going to include that pain in the ass factor. They have to because they know if your projects take longer than they should and other trades aren't being managed properly and things aren't being scheduled properly, they have to put that additional pain in the ass factor in there to cover their costs. On the flip side, if they know you're not a pain in the ass, if they know you can schedule projects, and if they have the confidence that when they show up, it's actually going to be ready, they can give you more competitive pricing and you can buy out your projects more effectively and more competitively. And then ultimately, if everybody's getting their work done more efficiently, not only will profits go up, but projects will get done faster. So that means fewer delays, less conflict, less litigation, less arguing, lower cortisol levels on the team, and everybody's just going to have a better experience. Clients, subcontractors, trade partners, designers, and you're going to deliver a better experience to your client, and that will set you up for the holy grail, which is negotiated repeat business. We'll get back to the show in just a second. If you're a construction business owner, let me ask you this. Are you feeling trapped in your business? Maybe you can't take a real vacation without being on call 24/7. Or when you finally do step away, you know there's going to be a mess waiting for you to clean up when you get back. Or maybe the constant stress of putting out fires and carrying all the responsibility and making all the decisions is keeping you up at night. And you're worried about losing a good employee, or it's affecting your health, or worse, it's keeping you from being present with your family. What if instead you could finally step back from the day-to-day chaos, take back control of your time, and build a business that runs profitably and smoothly even when you're not there? If that sounds good, I'd like to invite you to book a free business evaluation call with my team. In just one call, we'll help you get crystal clear on 3 things: the root cause of the biggest problems in your business, the goals and vision you want to achieve for your company and your life, and we'll map out a personalized roadmap you can follow to make that vision a reality. Look, we've helped hundreds of construction business owners systematize their business so they can work less, earn more, and actually enjoy their lives. And we can help you too. But the first step, it's up to you. Head over to constructionleadingedge.com/apply to book your free call, or just click the link in the show notes. Don't wait until it's too late. Take the first step toward freedom today. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, so now let's talk about solutions. I want to give you 2 simple tools to fix the problem. One for trade contractors if you self-perform work, and one for general contractors. So for trade contractors, a super simple tool that I developed. I was running a company. We were self-performing work, self-performing utility and excavation work. And I was frustrated because every day I was getting these questions like, hey, what's the plan for today? And then, there was this, it was like throwing a rock in a pond. There were these ripple effects of, this is the plan for today. Well, we don't have the skid steer, that mini excavator's down, or we don't have that manhole base, or, somebody else is using that tool. And I was like, if we had made this plan for today, yesterday, we would have had time to figure all of this stuff out. We would have had time to get the right people on the job, for somebody to go pick up materials, to make sure the equipment wasn't double covered. So I developed what I call the Daily Crew Planner. And it's a 1-page document. And the whole idea is that somebody is planning tomorrow's work today. Somebody is thinking about, by 2 p.m. today, they're creating a plan for tomorrow, mapping out what are they going to do the next day, what labor, materials, equipment, and information do they need to be able to finish that work. And all of that planning is done by 2 o'clock today for tomorrow. Why is it done by 2 o'clock today? The reason is so that there's some time this afternoon to gather up materials and tools and equipment and information to be able to do that work tomorrow. This does a couple of things. One, it gets your crew leader thinking about tomorrow's work today. They know what the plan is. They figure out what it's going to take to be able to do that work today, and it gives the team time to gather all of the resources that are necessary. I rolled this out to my team. I had them submit a daily crew planner each day. It was a simple 1-page piece of paper, and they would just fill it out by hand by 2 o'clock, take a picture of it, and send it in a text to me. I had them send it to the shop manager as well, because we had quite a bit of equipment. You can create a form. Our Systematize Your Construction Business program includes a template that a lot of our clients have had great success with. But the key, the real simple way to get started with this is tell your crew leader, hey, send me a text by 2 o'clock today. Tell me what you're going to do tomorrow. Tell me what you're going to need. Labor, equipment, tools, information, etc. Okay? Simple way. This will eliminate a lot of those wasted first hours. that we talked about earlier. For general contractors, here's the mindset shift. You need to switch from the just enough to start approach to giving them everything they need to finish. All right. I've seen this over and over and over and over. A lot of superintendents, their job is to schedule subcontractors, right? What a lot of superintendents say is, hey, I need you out here to get started in 2 weeks. And then I need you out here started next week. And then 24 hours, I need you out here starting. But what that does is it creates a situation where everybody's focused on the start and getting activity and like, let's do just enough to start. But then what typically happens is the subcontractor shows up and says, hey, this like 50% of the area is ready. And what about this? And what about this? And we still don't have a decision on this. And that creates a lot of first hour activities. The way to eliminate that as a general contractor is switch your mindset from let's give them just enough to get started to let's give them everything they need to finish up front. So think, what will it take for them to finish their scope of work or finish this phase? And let's make sure it's all there before they get started. Let's make sure that the entire area is ready for them. Let's make sure that if we're stacking trades, that the trades in front of them will be done by the time this trade needs to be there. So think finish line. Think, let's give them everything they need to finish instead of just enough to start. Because when your trades have everything they need to finish, everything flows smoothly, they can hit the ground running, they can be productive, and you'll get all of those benefits that we talked about previously. So here's my challenge for you. What are you going to do with this information? Maybe you're more of a data person and you want to start tracking those first hour activities. Maybe you want to talk to your team. You may want to talk to your team and say, hey, what can I do to help you reduce or eliminate these first hour activities? That's a great way to get started. Perhaps you want to roll out the daily crew planner. This is a really simple thing you can use, especially if you are self-performing labor. And then no matter where you're at, I would strongly encourage you to switch your mindset from just enough to start to giving your teams everything they need to finish. So if you're looking for help with that and you're like, oh, wow, we are the poster child for just enough to start. We never have everything we need, not only for our trades, but we start projects without having selections and decisions or scopes of work, or we don't have the project bought out. We don't even know who's going to be doing the work. It's all flying by the seat of our pants. If that's the case, then your next step is to focus on your pre-construction process. Having a well-defined pre-construction process, that's how you get out of the just enough to start trap. And if you'd like our help with that, then the first step is to schedule a business evaluation call with my team. We'll talk about our Systematize Your Construction Business program, where we can help you, where we've helped hundreds of construction companies, general contractors, and even trade companies like concrete, roofing, plumbing, excavation, paving, to design their pre-construction process. So if you're interested in that, go to constructionleadingedge.com, click on the apply button, and it'll walk you through that process. And I'll talk about that some more in just a few minutes. Hey, it's Todd. Before you go, if you own a construction business and you know you need to put the right systems in place, whether it's to be able to scale up, to be able to take a proper vacation, step away from day-to-day operations, if you know you need to make it more profitable, or even prepare it for a future sale, if you know you need to make some changes in your business, there are really only three options. And I want to clarify this for you. Option one is do nothing. Keep doing the status quo, same inputs, same results. Keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. Option two is to DIY it, to do it yourself. You can try to reinvent the wheel, piece together solutions from books and podcasts, hope that trial and error gets you where you want to go. In my experience, this is the path of most resistance. Or there's option three, which is to find a proven system that delivers the results you're looking for. Think about it. It's sort of like when you sign up for software for project management or bookkeeping, you probably didn't try to code your own software, right? You found a system that works. So that's a proven system that gets you the results you're looking for. Well, if you're ready to systematize your construction business, we've helped hundreds of construction business owners implement our proven processes, including our Nail the Handoff pre-construction system. It works for home builders, remodelers, commercial general contractors, and trade contractors like electricians, plumbers, roofers. The first step is simple. Schedule a free business evaluation call with my team. Just click the link in the show notes to book your call. On that call, you'll walk away with clarity on the hidden root causes of your biggest challenges. You'll learn about the pitfalls that you want to avoid as you move forward with your business, and you'll walk away with a customized roadmap that you can follow to get where you want to go. This is not a sales pitch, okay? There's no pressure. We may not even talk about working together. You may not even hear about our program. This is all about evaluating your business. It's going to be the most valuable hour that you've spent working on your business in a long time. So don't wait. Click the link in the show notes to book your free business evaluation call now. And the last thing, if you've been enjoying this podcast and getting value out of it, I've got a quick favor to ask. Could you take a moment and leave a 5-star rating and maybe a short review on the platform that you're listening or watching on? It really helps the podcast grow. It lets other people know what to expect. Plus, I love to hear your feedback. It means a lot to me. Thanks so much. My name is Todd Dawalt from constructionleadingedge.com, and I'll catch you on the next episode.